Yeah, once again, very good morning and thanks for joining. Okay, last two sessions we discussed about what is cloud computing, what is like in terms of Azure retail subscription. Okay, and what are the services Microsoft is offering, what we can look in the future. Okay, once we are good at DBA, once we are good at DBA, what we can look in future. That is what we discussed. Okay, now to, today we are going to start one new concept that is nothing but Windows WFC, Windows Failover Cluster. Okay, so coming to SQL Server, when you especially go for SQL Server, okay, so we have having high availability and disaster recovery. So far we discussed about log shipping, okay, mirroring, replication. These are the major three concepts we discussed so far. Okay, log shipping, mirroring, replication. So we discussed more about replication troubleshooting, log shipping troubleshooting. Only one concept is pending, and mirroring troubleshooting is pending. Okay, so to fulfill HA, to fulfill DR, okay, to make RTO, recovery time objective. This is very important. Why the high availability came into the picture? That's what we discussed. Log shipping is a database level, mirroring is a database level, replication is like an object level where you can replicate specific object if you wanted to replicate from publisher to subscriber. But this is not a HR, this is not a DR, this is something future in SQL Server. That's what so far we discussed. Now, coming to HMDR, so we are having two more techniques. So we are having two more techniques. That is nothing but clusters. Clusters. Okay, clusters. And one more technique, always on availability group. Always on availability group. So these are the major two more techniques we need to discuss. So clusters, always on. So this whole week we will spend on the clusters. So next week we'll start the always on availability group. So far we discussed about log shipping, mirroring, replication, and we are going to start the clusters. So what we are going to do is, well, we are going to build the clusters on top of cloud platform. We are going to discuss clusters on top of cloud platform, and I will also show you how to build the clusters in the on-prem also. Means we will spin the VMs in our laptops and we can deploy the clusters on our laptop. So two things we'll discuss. One is clusters on cloud, okay, cloud, and clusters on-prem. On-prem. If you're good this one, always on is so easy for you because on top of the clusters only you are going to build the always on availability group. Always on availability group. So that's the reason we are going to discuss first on cluster. Then later on, we'll move into the always on availability group. So how to spin, how to deploy always on availability to on top of Windows Failover clusters. So log shipping is a DB level. DB level. Mirroring is also DB level. Replication is a object level. Okay. Clusters is a instance level. Entire instance you are going to protect. Means if something happened to one instance, another instance will take it the responsibility because it supports automatic failover. Automatic failover. Very, very important. Clusters are nothing but instance level. So log shipping is a database level. Mirroring is also database level, but log shipping won't support automatic failover. Mirroring will support automatic failover. Replication is no concept called failover. Okay, replication is no concept called failover, but clusters will support automatic failover, will support manual failover. both it will support. Of course, all the high availabilities except replication supports manual failovers. Okay, but replication is not a high availability or DR. So clusters is nothing but instance level. Clusters is nothing but instance level. AZ, always on availability group, is a again database level, DB level, and also resources level. Resources level. We'll talk on this. What you mean by resources? We'll talk. So clusters are protecting your resources also. Resources level. So always on availability group is a DB level, resource level, and it will also support automatic failover. Automatic failover. Automatic failover. So in terms of SQL, when you go for SQL, to fulfill RTO, okay, to fulfill RTO, so Microsoft came up with log shipping, mirroring, clusters, always on availability group. So all these four are very, very important concept. Out of this always on availability group, very important. Okay, so log shipping is also very important, but compared with mirroring and clusters, okay. But as a database administrator, we must and should know all these three different techniques, all these four different techniques. So as we already know about these two, now we are going to concentrate on these three concepts for 2.5 weeks. We'll spend on here only clusters and always on availability. Now we can think that how important does HA and DR especially working, taking care. Okay. Now, first today we are going to start the clusters. Okay. Do you have any questions on this?
Hi, Sai. Sorry, hi, Subbu.
Yeah.
So maybe, I mean, I'm sure you will be covering that. So I just have, the confusion about the difference in the SQL, I mean, the instance level and the server level, I mean, the node level in terms of the SQL cluster, like how both are different or both are the same.
Oh, that's what we'll discuss. That's what I mentioned. Resource level is
Okay,
nothing but server level.
server level. Okay, fine.
Server level. Yeah. Okay. Now, now see. Let's. No questions, right? Everyone. Okay. Great. Now let's open a document. First, we'll see the uh, more on theoretical parts. Are okay. Today we'll spend more time on theoretical part. Tomorrow will spend on the deployment part. Okay. Now, as part of clusters, okay, we can call it as a WFC, Windows Failure Clusters. Okay, we'll call it as a Windows Failure Cluster. See, a cluster is a group of independent computer systems. So for example, you are having a three VMs. You are having three VMs. Okay. Okay. Yeah. This is not like server. Assume you are having a node one. Okay. Node two, server one, server two. Okay, and server three. For example, you are having three servers. You are having three servers. Okay, each server is working independently. Each server is working independently. So this server is independent. This by default, each and every server is a independent. Each and every server is a independent now. Now node one is working as an independent. Node two is also working as an independent. Node three is also working as an independent. Why Subbu you are calling as a node one, node two, node three means in technical terms, in clusters, when you go for WFC, we should not call it as a servers, we'll call it as a nodes. In technical terms, we won't call this as a servers, we will call it as a nodes, but nodes are nothing but servers on this. So server one, server two, server three. All these three servers are working independently. All these servers are working independently means whatever the resources you are placing on top of this server, it can be SQL, it can be file system, okay, it can be any services, for example, any services. If you are placing here, in case if something happened to this, we are gone. Entire this server is down along with whatever the services you running on this server also down, correct? If server goes down, everything goes down. If server goes down, everything goes down. Now assume you are also using one more server here. Okay, one more, and you are going to keep network. Okay, all this stuff. If something happened to this server, whatever the services which are running is gone. Is gone. This is gone. Okay, because each and every server is working as a independent. Each and every server is working as a independent. Whatever the services you install on the respective server, if server goes down, in terms of you shut down the server, you restarted the server, or something happened to operating system, something happened to resources in terms of CPU or memory or something, corruptions. Okay, if this server goes down, whatever the services on top of this server is also down, is also down. Now, to overcome this, Microsoft came up with a concept called WFC. Forget about forget about the services. Forget about the services. Forget about the services. Assume you install a operating system here. All the servers are part of same. Again, sir, when you go for HA and DR, you need to maintain the same configuration. Okay, for example, these are all the servers are part of same configuration. Okay. Now, how you can protect first infrastructure? Now, forget about on top of that what we are going to place. First, WFC came up with a Windows failover cluster. So, Windows failover cluster. So, what Microsoft came up? Okay, let's protect the system resources in terms of operating system, in terms of CPU, in terms of memory, in terms of IO. Okay, in terms of uh, OS operating system is nothing but OS. If something happened, okay. So what Microsoft came up, okay, let's group this server. Let's group this server and these three server working as one unit, like one. This all the three servers are working as one unit, sir. Okay, and you are going to place a name called cluster name. Cluster name. You are going to group these servers and you are going to place one name called cluster name. And you are going to keep the cluster IP address. You need cluster IP address, cluster name. So you are going to group all these three servers and working as a together. Now all these three servers are working as a together. Together. What do you mean by together, Subbu? See, if something happened to this server, no worries. This server will take responsibility. Whatever the services you are running on top of this, whatever the services you are, for example, you install SQL server here. Okay. If something happened to node 1, this SQL server will move into this node. This SQL server connections. Okay. In terms of connections, okay. Not moving all the DLL files. Okay. Don't think that much level. Okay, if something happened to this, all whatever this, for example, here SQL is running. This SQL server connections will move into this node 2. If something happened to node 2 also, this SQL connections will move to the node 3. If something happened node 3, gone again back. So all the application will goes down. So what Microsoft came up? Okay, first build the Windows failover cluster. Means first to group all the servers which are going to part of cluster as a unit, as a single unit, okay, working as a together with the same level of configuration. On top of that, build whatever the services you want, whatever the services you want. For example, being we are a SQL database administrator, we are going to build a SQL server only. Okay, not only SQL server, you can place any number of services. Okay, you can place any number of services on top of Windows failover cluster, but we are going to place the SQL. We are going to place the SQL. So if something happened to this will take responsibility. If something happened to this will take responsibility. Means entire instance level connections is moving to the node 2. There is no concept called database or all the stuff. Now, how the data, all this stuff will talk, sir. High level understood, everyone? No? What is happening in terms of Windows Failover cluster? First, you are going to build a cluster to make all the server as a working as a unit, single unit. How? By configuring Windows Failover cluster, by providing the cluster name, by providing the cluster IP address. By providing the cluster name, providing the cluster IP address, this all the three servers are working as a single unit. This all three servers are working as a single unit. If something happened to this server will take responsibility. What something Subhu means? Maybe OS got corrupted, maybe due to high CPU, high memory, high IO. Okay, so high resource utilization also it will do the failover. How it is possible? We'll talk sir more. Okay, hold this one. We want to talk more about all the stuff. We'll discuss on the stuff. I hope you understood the concept. No? Yes.
Yes.
So all three servers has to be in the same data center and same domain, or it can be spread across multiple domains.
See, we can also keep multiple domains. Okay, we don't want to make complicated. I will also show you that configuration. Okay, I think someone who asked Bala.
This Bala.
No. Yeah. So I will show you that configuration as well. Let's first understood this one. We'll go for that cross-domain configuration. Okay. I will also show you how to configure cross-domain. Okay. So when we are discussing
My
practical
question was around like, okay, when we talk about WFC, you said this is for mainly for HA and DR. So that's the point. Like, okay, so is it spread across how we can configure DR with WFC?
see, that's what Windows failure cluster is what Microsoft claiming HA and DR. Basically, when you go for cross-domain, okay, first you need to establish the connection. Connection is very, very important. So you need to do lot of connection. So that's what I will show you site-to-site configuration. Okay,
Sure.
I will show you
Got it.
site-to-site
Yeah.
means I will build the servers on Azure. Okay, we'll build the servers on Azure, and I will build the VMs on VMware workstation. Okay, here I will create NA domain. Here I will create AP domain. Let's configure. Okay.
Sure.
See,
Thanks.
even if you go for DR is also part of the same domain only in real world. Okay, but different network, but it will be part of same domain. Mostly we won't configure the cross domains. Rare case. Okay, so for example, these two servers are hosted in Houston. Houston. This server is placed in Dallas. Okay, but these are all in the same network only. These are all in the same network, so same domain, but networks are different. Networks are different. This server all are same domain only, but networks are different. So when we are configuring, I will show you single domain. I will show you cross domain as well. Okay. Once we build the servers in on-prem, okay. Once we build the domain in on-prem, I will also show you the cross domain. But mostly we won't go for cross domains because lot of complicated will come in terms of logins, in terms of securities. Okay, but sometimes you may also get to work on the cross domains as well. So let's build the two setups. Okay, first we will build in the cloud, then we will build in the on-prem, then we will one day we will map both. Okay, is it fine, everyone? Okay, so we'll wait, sir. First, let's go a little slowly only. I don't want make too much technical now itself. Let's go a little slowly, one by one, practical, theoretical. Today, we are going to discuss more on theoretical. Tomorrow, we'll completely on practical. Tomorrow, you can understand more on how we are going to spin the VMs, how we are going to spin the networks, how you are going to make the peerings, okay, network peerings, and how you are going to build the domains, how you are going to see the DNS entries. We'll see all the practical, because here we don't have any network team, Windows team, storage team. No one is there. You are only one person who will become like network team, Windows team, storage team. Sorry, 1 second. So you will become the network team, Windows team, storage team, right? Let's see. Tomorrow we'll go for practical, right? You can understand easily. Now, as Bala asked this question, so yes, let's see, sir. First, we'll build a one domain with the two different network servers into the cluster. Next, cross domain also will see. Okay, but let's see what challenges we'll face, because we don't have all the network team, all this stuff. Like, let's see, sir. So we will build a side-to-side connectivity between Azure to on-prem. So we will build the servers using VMware, and we are going to build the servers in cloud, right? We'll make the connectivity. First, we need to make the connectivity. So you won't do all this stuff in real world connectivity, all this stuff, but we don't have here the Windows team, network team, storage team, right? You need to do everything from the scratch. If you wanted to good at configuration, you should know about how network people are making the bridge between on-prem to cloud as well. Now, okay, next, where we are. Okay, so WFC is nothing but group of servers. WFC is nothing but group of servers. So in technical terms, the cluster is a group of independent computer system referred to as a nodes. So technically, you are calling as a nodes. Node 1, node 2, node 3, node 4. So technically, but in real world, how many server cluster it is, how many node cluster it is, how many servers and how many node cluster it is. It's a 2-node cluster, 3-node cluster, 4-node cluster, 5-node cluster, 6-node cluster, 7-node cluster, 8-node cluster. How many node cluster it is? How many node cluster is? Working together as a unified compute resources. Okay, a cluster provides a single name for the client to use a single administrator interface. So you are going to build a cluster, right? Okay, you are going to group all the servers with the cluster name along with the cluster IP address. Cluster name, cluster IP address. So will I build the cluster in real world? Mostly no, sir. Windows team will build the cluster, but sometimes you may also get a chance to build from everything from the scratch level. If you don't have that much Windows team, network team on your project, then you need to take in care everything. You need to take in care everything, means you need to build everything from the scratch level. Everything from the scratch level. So please just make a note on this is something very important. Now, and it guarantees that data is constructed, okay, across the nodes. So I told you, right, it is working as a single unit. See, everyone will think that, okay, Windows failure cluster is only for SQL Server, okay? Because we are learning SQL Server, or we can place only SQL on top of clusters, SQL on top of clusters. But Microsoft Services provided 3 technologies to support the clustering. One is you can place network load balancing on top of cluster. You can place component load balancer on top of cluster. You can place Microsoft clustered services, that is nothing but payload cluster. Okay, so you can place multiple technologies on top of the cluster. But we are not discussing any one of this. Our focus will be Microsoft clustered services, nothing but failure cluster. This is our main focus. So Microsoft is providing lot many things, sir. But will I need to learn all this stuff? No need. As a database as a SQL database administrator, we are good to know about the SQL. So we are going to use the Microsoft clustered service, nothing but failure cluster. So see, these 3 servers are working like an independent. Okay. Now, if you want to build a cluster, what Microsoft is saying, first we need to perform Microsoft clustered service. Microsoft Failover Clustered Service means all these three nodes we need to install Failover Cluster Manager. Failover Cluster Manager. So all these three servers you need to install Failover Cluster Manager. Then only we can add these servers as part of cluster. Otherwise, you can't add these servers as a cluster. If we wanted to add these servers as a cluster, all the nodes which are going to part of cluster, how many node cluster you are going to configure, all the nodes, each and every node, you need to install Payload Cluster Manager service. You need to install Payload Cluster Manager service. Once you install Payload Cluster Manager service, you will get the capability to build a Windows Payload cluster. Otherwise, no, sir. You can't add this server into the part of cluster. Is it clear? One of the major prerequisites. If you want to include the server into the cluster, you need Failover Cluster Manager need to be installed on that server. If you're not installed, so you can't add this server on top of cluster. So Failover Cluster Manager service is very important. Very important. Is it clear, everyone? No? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Now, see, cluster services act as a backend cluster. Okay, cluster services means when you install Failover Cluster Manager. So, for example, if we go to the services.msc, if I go to the services, see you are having lot many services, right? Like especially if you go for SQL, you are having SQL Server Service, SQL Agent Service, SQL Server Service, SQL Agent Service. So SQL Server Service is the backbone for our database engine, right? Yes or no? SQL Server Service is the backbone for our database engine. If this service goes down, our entire database engine will goes down. Like same, what Microsoft is saying, when you install Failover Cluster Manager, you will get one new service called clustered service. Here there is nothing Failover clustered service. See, you can't see clustered service. There is no cluster service, but when you install Failover Cluster Manager, you will get one service for clustered service. That clustered service is the backbone. For this server as part of cluster. If this cluster service goes down, this node will be down from the cluster. Nothing happened to the server, sir. Nothing will happen to server. So nothing will happen to server. But if cluster service goes down, this server will down from the cluster. So that's what Microsoft is saying. Clustered services act as a backend to the cluster. So if the node is down from the cluster, first thing we should get on our mind is, oh, clustered service is down. Cluster service is down. If cluster service goes down, automatically the node will be down from the cluster. So like say, if SQL services goes down, if you can't connect to the database engine, sir. See, let me open to better understanding. Just stop me if you're not understanding, okay?
So one more question. So that service will be available on all those nodes participating in cluster, right?
Each and every node, Girish,
Okay.
node cluster service will be part. So if this cluster service is down, this node will be down from the cluster. Nothing happened to server, sir. Server is healthy only. Somehow your cluster service is down. Either you shut down or someone stopped, or by mistakenly suddenly server got rebooted and cluster services stopped, say, and it is not coming online. Maybe any reason. If clustered services goes down, this node will be down from the cluster. Okay. Like see, for example, this is our database engine, right? You can connect to the database engine. So you can connect to the database engine if SQL Server service is running state. If SQL is running, You see, currently SQL service is in stopped state. You can't connect. See, you can't connect. Okay, SQL service is currently in the stopped state. When you are trying to connect to the SQL server database engine, especially database engine, and it is not allowing us. Okay, so see, you are getting a common error message. See, you are connecting the database engine, and it is showing that the network related instance specified error occurred while establishing the connection to the SQL server. Whenever you see this error message, oh, blind thing on our mind is, oh, SQL service is down. SQL service is down. That's the reason I'm not able to connect to the SQL. Like same, when you install Failover Cluster Manager, by default, you will get the clustered service. Cluster service. If this cluster services goes down, node will down from the cluster. Okay, everyone? No? Yes?
Yes.
So for entire Failover cluster, for entire your cluster service is the backbone for us. For entire database engine, for whole database engine, okay, SQL service is the backbone. Now let's go and start it, sir. Why it got stopped? Windows cannot start the local computer for system. Okay, it is not starting. Okay, let it be not started, sir. We'll see the troubleshooting why SQL is not starting. Okay, it will divert our concept. At the ending, I will show you why SQL is not starting. Okay.
Subbu sir, I have one
Yes.
question.
Yeah.
If Failover cluster service is down, so SQL service also down or it will running?
No, first don't include SQL here. Okay.
Okay,
Don't
okay,
bring SQL here. First, we'll understood Windows WFC. First,
okay.
we'll understood WFC. Then we'll talk on SQL.
Yeah,
In here, I will show you practical demos also, right? So that you can understand, sir. No worries.
yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. Each and everything we'll discuss practical. Today, we want to convey what is WFC first. What are the things we can place on top of WFC? If you understand that one, then when we are good at configuration, we'll go for troubleshooting. Right? That time I will make the services wantedly stop. Okay, let's see what will happen. Okay, no worries. No worries at all. So
Okay.
if clustered service is down, this node will be down from the cluster. Now, as when you asked, nothing will happen to SQL, sir. SQL will do the failover. SQL will move from here to here. SQL connections will move. SQL dependency resources, connections will move into the node 2. Are you okay?
Yes, fine.
Very simple. SQL dependency resources along with SQL services will move into the either node 2 or node 3 based on your preference. Whatever
Right.
the preference you have set it, right?
Yes. Thanks.
There it will move. Nothing will happen, sir. But here, it is not affecting SQL Server. But that's what I told you, right? If something happened to the operating system level, services level also, the failure is happening. Not only SQL. If Windows related activities also, the failure is happening with the help of WFC. So you are protecting SQL along with you are protecting the infrastructure also with the WFC. So far what we discussed, log shipping, mirroring, right? Log shipping is a database level. Okay, database level. Mirroring is also database level. If something happened to this database, you can do manual failover to bring. If something happened to this database, it will do automatic failover. This is a database level and SQL. Under SQL level, under database level redundancy only this is. But WFC something more, sir. If something happened to the Windows also, SQL will move the connections automatically. So you are protecting infrastructure along with you are protecting the SQL also. If something happened to this SQL, no worries. Node 2 will take responsibility. Not only infrastructure level, if something happened to SQL also, Node 2 will take responsibility. Is it clear, Ayush?
Yes,
Subbu,
yes.
Yes, yes, Nilesh.
Yeah.
but cluster got failed, then node 1, 2, 3 is one unit as a cluster, right?
These are all working as a one single unit, sir.
Then if cluster got failed, then all the nodes got failed or only node
No,
1 is
that's
working?
what. Don't think that much now, okay? Yeah. See, if cluster goes down, we'll see all practical. I will make you entire cluster goes down. You can't connect to anyone, right? See, if whole cluster goes down, if this cluster is down, you can't connect to the application, right? Nothing happened to SQL. Something happened to cluster. You can't connect. You can't establish the connect. Nothing. You can't do nothing, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, Subbu.
Yes.
Subbu, in this three nodes cluster, so at a time, how many node will connect to the application?
Only one node. That's what, sir. Wait. Hold on. Okay. Just wait for 5 minutes. I will go next step. Okay. First we understood
Okay.
Windows level. Then we'll go for SQL level. Then you can understand, sir. So what you understood so far, so you are going to build three different servers, okay, three independent servers, okay. Now you decided I need to bring these three servers as a unit. How you are going to bring? With the help of Windows Failover cluster. How you are going to configure? First I need to install Failover cluster manager in all three servers, then I can configure the cluster. Once you configure the cluster, technically you are calling as a nodes. Okay, this is a 3 node cluster, 4 node cluster, 5 node cluster. On top of this, you are going to install SQL or some other services. For example, if you are installing SQL, if something happened to the infrastructure, if something happened to SQL, it will move all the dependency resources along with the connections to the respective node 2 or node 3. What do you mean by the dependency? You are saying that some dependencies, sir. I will talk. Up to this is clear. If cluster goes down, whole connection is down, sir. Nothing. You can't do anything. Even your SQL is healthy, everything is healthy. You can't establish the connection if entire cluster goes down. So always cluster need to be healthy. On top of that, SQL need to be healthy. If you wanted to make the connectivity, cluster need to be healthy. SQL need to be healthy. If something happened to any one of this node, no worries. I'm having node 2, node 3, node 4, node 5, node 6, whatever node I can bring it. Okay, up to this, okay, fine. Everyone clear about WFC first? Windows Failure Cluster. What is Windows Failure Cluster? That is very easy, right? Group of the servers which are working as a unified compute resources. That's it. That's it, sir. Very simple answer. What is Windows Failure Cluster? Group of servers is working as a unit. Apart from nothing else. A great thing we are doing. Now, okay, next see what it provide the high availability for the applications such as databases, messaging. See, that's what I told you, right? Don't think that I can keep only SQL on cluster. Don't think that I can keep only on SQL on top of cluster. You can keep databases. Okay, you can keep the databases. You can keep the messagings. You can keep the file share. You can keep printer sets. You can keep n number of services on top of cluster. N number of services on top of cluster. I will show you, sir, how many services you can place on top of cluster. Out of this, you are going to keep the databases. Nothing but SQL, sir. SQL is also database, right? You are going to keep SQL. On top of WFC, you can keep n number of services. Out of that, SQL is also one service only. So don't think that WFC only for SQL. Oh, Microsoft designed WFC only for SQL. That is absolutely wrong. Wrong, sir. You can keep a number of other services on top of cluster also. But being we are a SQL Server database administrator, we are learning how to build a SQL on top of cluster. SQL on top of cluster. Okay? Not okay. So same thing. I will share this document to you. What document? You no need to prepare. See, cluster means group of servers where we can configure on instance level. Okay. All participated servers we are technically calling as a nodes. Okay. If one node down, automatically another node come up immediately without any downtime. Means there will be minimal downtime, sir. Don't trust like without downtime. No, there will be minimal downtime. Like a fraction of seconds, it will take to do failover. So it will take some like 10 seconds or 10 seconds, 15 seconds to do the failovers. So minimum 10 seconds, sir. Within 10 seconds, the services will come online on the node 2. Node 2 will become the node 2. So this is, if you know about this one, we are good at WFC, Windows Failover Cluster. Any questions? Anyone? Any questions so far? Yeah, Sandeep. Yes.
How the nodes will know this one is down, this one is up?
We'll see, sir. We'll see. First, we talk about high level. Next, we'll talk on one. Sorry.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, we'll talk, sir. Now, next thing. Next, we are going a step ahead. Now, being we are a SQL DBS, we are going to install SQL. Again, sir, this is very important. Everyone will get confused. Okay, here only everyone will get confused. Let's draw one more. This is node 1. This is node 2. Very, very important, sir. Please, if you understood this one, you can understand more. You are good at clusters. Okay, node 3. And you are going to build the whole cluster. Okay. So cluster name and cluster IP address. Okay, cluster name, cluster address. Okay, good. Now, sir, on top of that, on top of these servers, you can install SQL Server. Okay, so far, since like we started almost 1.5 months, right? So far, we learned SQL standalone installation. Standalone installation, correct? Installation, standalone installation. What do you mean by standalone installation? If something happened to this SQL, okay, your application goes down. Standalone installation is nothing but if something happened to this server, if something happened to this standalone SQL, your application will goes down. If something happened to this instance, something happened to server, because on top of server only you are going to install SQL servers. Okay. If something happened to server, if something happened to standalone instance, everything application goes down. Okay. Not only standalone installation, you can also do SQL on cluster installation. SQL on cluster installation. See, I started or not? Oh, not started, right? Sorry. Cancel. Let's connect to any other installation. I don't know why this got stopped. See, it is clearly saying that is cluster is false. Whenever you connect to the SQL Server instance, when you go to the instance property and whenever you see that is cluster is false, a blind shot is, oh, this is a standalone installation. Whenever you see the true, nothing but it is SQL on cluster installation. SQL on cluster installation. Is it clear, everyone? No? Yes? Whenever you see the true, it's a SQL on cluster installation. When you see the false, it is a standalone installation. Mostly we will do standalone installation only, sir. Mostly, like 90 to 95% will do the standalone installation. Only 5% will do the SQL on cluster installation, because almost it is a dead feature. SQL on cluster is a dead feature, not Windows failure cluster. I'm not saying any Windows failure cluster, sir. SQL on cluster is almost dead feature, almost gone. But some people are using this feature, but you won't you won't see that much massive. You won't see that much massive number when you compare with the standalone. So mostly in real world, will perform 90 to 95% standalone installation. Rare case will perform the SQL on cluster installation. Why, Subbu? We'll talk, sir. Now see. Now let's go here. So we are going to install standalone installation. So far we done same thing, sir. If something happened to SQL, gone. We are gone. Okay. Now when you go for SQL on cluster installation, okay, when you go for SQL on cluster installation, now see, before SQL on cluster installation, for example, I want to install standalone installation means you need to install in Node 1, you need to install standalone in Node 2, you need to install standalone in Node 3 also. 3 nodes you need to perform the standalone installation. You need to perform standalone installation. If something happened to this node 1, this standalone installation will goes down. Okay, nothing, it won't do failover, sir. It won't do failover. Okay, if you install SQL on standalone cell, if node 1 goes to, your standalone installation is also down. Standalone installation is also down. So, we are excluding standalone installation now. We are coming up with the SQL on cluster. See, when you go for SQL on cluster, something is very important, sir. Here you are going to install new SQL on cluster installation. You need to install new SQL on failure cluster installation, where assume, sir, everyone is confusing this only when we ask interview or when you are working, everyone is confusing here, because assume this is a 3-node cluster, right, Subbu? This is the 3-node cluster, right? Where I need to install SQL Server first. Okay, so don't think where I need to install first. You can install in Node 1, you can install in Node 2, you can install in Node 3. What? New SQL Server failure cluster installation. First, you need to install new SQL Server failure cluster installation. Any node you can install, nothing worry. Oh, my application team is telling Node 2 is my active. You need to understand this terminology, sir. Active, passive. Active, passive. What do you mean by active? What do you mean by passive? You need to understand first this one. What do you mean by active means the node where SQL is running. The node where SQL is running, that node technically will be called as an active node. The node where SQL is in the stopped state. The node where SQL is in the stopped state, that node will be called as a passive node. Is it clear? First thing, everyone. Is it clear, everyone?
Yes, Subbu.
Yes, sir.
The node where SQL is running will call it as an active node. The node where SQL is in stopped state will call it as a passive node. So active node, passive node. Now, for example, my application team is telling that I need to install node 2 is becoming as an active node. Oh, I need to install new SQL Server payload cluster installation on node 2. Not at all. You can install anywhere. You can install any on these 3 nodes. This is not that I need to install only on node 2 because my application team told that this is need to be active node. Oh, I need to install first. First, I need to install new SQL Server Failure Cluster Manager or new SQL Server Failure. Come on, new SQL Server Failure Cluster on the node 2. No, you can install node 1. You can also install node 2. Just keep that in your mind, sir. Very important. First, you need to install new SQL Server payload cluster. Next, once installation is done, either any one of this node, assume this installation is done. Now, Rest of the node 2, for example, you done on the node 1. You done on the node 1. You done new SQL Server installation on node 1. Now node 2, node 3, there is no SQL Server currently. And this here you install assume you install prod instance. And now here the services are running. Services are running. This node acting as a active. This node acting as a active. So you install SQL Server on the node 1. Now currently SQL is running on the node 1. This node technically will be called as an active node. Is it clear, everyone?
There I have
No.
questions.
No,
Yes.
sir.
Hello.
If
Hello?
yeah, sorry. Yes.
Sir, suppose my all resource on the second nodes, okay, and if I
I will talk,
start,
sir. No, I will
okay,
talk. Sorry.
okay.
We'll go one by one, okay? I
Yeah.
will talk. Bear with me for whole this hours, okay? At the ending, if you have still question, you can raise it. Okay. Now see, you install, okay? You install on the node 1, and currently SQL is running on node 1. You are calling as an active node. Now, is the SQL is installed on node 2, node 3? No, right? Currently nothing is installed. Yes or no? Currently nothing is installed here. If something happened to node 1, will this SQL will goes down or not? Yes, correct.
Yes.
If something happened to node 1, this SQL will goes down, even it is a part of news. It is a part of SQL on cluster because there is no passive installation. Because you need to perform passive installation also. What do you mean by passive installation, Subbu? See, here when you are installing new SQL Server, here you will select all the features, whatever you install, whatever are compatible, you will do everything, sir. It's like a traditional installation only, but you will get additional steps also. When you compare with the standalone, you will get 1 or 2 steps additional. You will get 1 or 2 steps additional when you compare with the standalone installation. Again, both are same only. Standalone installation, new SQL cluster installation, almost both are same, but you will see some additional steps. Okay, it's fine, Subbu. Now, in the node 2, you need to install add node to the Failover cluster. Okay, you need to install SQL. Add node to the Failover cluster. Let me show you, sir, rather than telling more on theoretical. Binary. Oh, setup file is not there in my laptop. Oh, sorry, 1 second, sir. Let me download the setup file. It won't take more time. Okay, minimize. So, first you are installing new SQL Server Failover cluster installation on node 2 or node 1 or node 2 or node 3. Any node you can install, sir. New SQL Server Failover cluster installation. In the remaining nodes, you need to install add node to the Failover cluster installation. For this instance, you are installing the services. For this instance, you are installing the services. Only you are installing the services like binary files. SQL Server binary files you are installing in the node 3, in the node 2. In the node 3, in the node 2, you are just installing the SQL services and binary files. Apart from nothing else, you will install in the node 2 and node 3. So you already done the installation. On the node 2, node 3, you are just installing SQL services and binary files. This is very easy installation. You no need to select the features, tests, authentication mode, service account, nothing, sir. Everything will be replicated automatically here. You no need to select anything. You selected everything in the whatever node you are installing, that node you already selected everything like data files, location, log file location, backup location, authentication modes, Okay, binary file locations, max drop value, temp DB disk, whatever you know about when you are installing standalone, right? Same thing for cluster also. Okay, you selected everything. When you are installing add node to the failover cluster installation, you no need to select anything, sir. Just select to which service you are adding as a passive. To which service you are adding as a passive. Apart from nothing else you need to do. So now I am installing add node to the failover cluster installation. Add node to the failover cluster installation. On node 2 I'm installing, and node 3 is also I'm installing. So if something happened to this node 1, now either node 2 will take responsibility, either node 3 will take responsibility, because for these services you install the passive. So automatically it will move the services along with the dependency services. Whatever the dependency resources along with the services will move into the node 2 or will move into the node 3. Will move into the node 2 or will move into the node 3. So when you are installing C::cluster, okay, when you are installing C::cluster, all the 3 servers you need to install SQL, but not like a standalone. Only one server you will install new SQL Server failover cluster installation, and remaining server add node to the failover cluster installation. Is it understandable? No. Yes.
So, if
Yes.
we install standalone installation for 3 nodes, then what will
No,
happen?
forget about standalone, sir. Let's talk about clusters, okay? We'll talk on always on availability group. Okay. I told you, right? If you install standalone, if node goes down, yeah, SQL is also down. SQL is also down. That's what I told you in the starting, right? If you install standalone, even on top of cluster, if this node goes down, the service will goes down.
Do we have the storage independent? I mean, for each of those nodes will be having their own
Next
storage,
step.
or
No, next service. Next step is that only, sir. I'm coming on step by step, okay, so that you can understand easily. So done, sir. Let's open this one. Very simple. Thus, many people will confuse here only. Very simple understanding, sir. Don't think that, okay, someone told that node 2 is active, I need to install only on the node 2. Oh, someone told that node 1 is active, I need to install on only node 1. No. See, basically you will go for new SQL Server standalone installation, right? So far, that is what you've done. Okay. Now we are not going for that one. You are going for this one. New SQL Server failover cluster installation. Okay. You can choose this one, any node. There is nothing concept called active, passive, because until you install SQL Server, there is no concept called active. Sir, for SQL Server, there is no active, there is no passive. For our understanding, Microsoft came up with the active concept, passive concept. For SQL, there is no active, there is no passive. Okay, for our understanding, there is a concept called active, passive. So new SQL Server failover cluster installation, you can install anywhere. Once you've done this one, next you need to add a node to the SQL failover cluster installation. So how many passive you want? Oh, Subbu, I need to install on all 2 nodes. Assume you are having one more node. I need to install all four nodes. This one add node to the failover cluster installation. Okay, that is up to you, sir. You need to go to you need to go and talk to your application team. How many passives you are expecting for this instance? How many passive you are expecting? So I need only 2. Then you can ask which node you are expecting for passive. Oh, I need only 1. So which node you are expecting as a passive? Oh, I need to 3. Then you need to install in all 3 nodes. You are having one more node. Okay, you need to install in 4 nodes. This one, add node to the failover cluster installation. Add node to the failover cluster installation. this node, this node, this node, this node. So how many passives they are expecting from you for that instance? For this instance, how many passives they are expecting? So that many add node to the passive installation you will perform. So what is active installation? Active is nothing but actual installation, sir. Actual installation. New SQL Server Failover cluster installation. Later on, you will add node to the SQL Server Failover cluster. Is it clear, everyone? No? Yes? Yes. Bala,
Subbu,
you are asking?
is the passive a read only, or there is nothing in passive?
There is nothing, sir, passive.
Okay, then
Nothing.
in that
Only
case,
services.
what is the purpose of having multiple passive nodes?
That's
It
what,
doesn't
sir.
make any sense, right?
That's what. See.
3 is enough.
See, again. C::cluster, C::, standalone, something different, sir. Okay. I will talk more on this one. See, you are protecting instance level. So take lock shipping, sir, for example, before always on. Before always on, take mirroring. Take mirroring, take lock shipping. Before always on, okay, we'll go for lock shipping and mirroring. What lock shipping is doing, you can maintain a number of secondaries, right? Yes or no? Lock
Yeah.
shipping can maintain n number of secondaries. And one secondary can be in you can keep in the standby mode, or you can keep in the restoring mode. When you keep restoring mode, you can't do anything. Okay. And can I do anything in the standby mode? Everyone will tell, hey, lock shipping will support standby mode. I can read the data, but there is a flaw. What is a flaw? When your restore job is triggering, the connections will interrupt, right? Yes or no? It will disconnect
Yep.
all the users and it will try to restore. Assume your restore job is every 15 minutes. Every 15 minutes, the reports will interrupt, right? Yes? No?
Yes, Subbu.
Yes. Okay. Now, to overcome this, what we are doing? Is there an idea? To overcome this, I need to read without any connection interrupt. To overcome this, can I do anything?
Yeah, you
Yes.
will do that with no recovery.
No recovery means you
Standby
can't
with no
read the
recovery.
data. No,
Oh yeah,
no
that's right.
recovery means
Yeah.
you can't read the data. I wanted to read the data. I wanted to read the data, but I don't want any connection interrupt. You can come with one strategy, right? Hey, apps team, okay, your business is from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Okay, so 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So every day, the restore job will trigger at 9 a.m. Okay, every day the restore job will trigger at 9 a.m. and next to restore job will trigger at 5 p.m. 5 p.m. So there is a data delay between 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. You can't see the data. If you're okay, I can keep the secondary in the standby mode. Is it understandable, everyone? There is a delay, right? Data delay. Primary, you are making the changes. Primary from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. business started and you are making the changes. Those changes is not replicated until 5 p.m. Means whatever the changes you've done from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., you can't see those changes in the secondary. If you are okay, when I will see next day only, next day 9 a.m. I will see the data, correct? Every day 9 a.m. I will restore. Every day 5 p.m. also I will restore. After 5 p.m. you can see the data, but mostly business will stop, correct? Mostly business will stop after 5 p.m. right? No one will run the anything. Now there is a data delay for 9 hours or 8 hours. There is a delay. If you're okay, I can keep in the standby mode. I can take one proposal. I can take one proposal to them, at least without any connection interrupt. But there is a data delay. If you want to see the current data, you can't see it until unless tomorrow. Until unless tomorrow, you can't see the current date, current changes. If you're okay with that one, I can implement log shipping as a standby mode. Like same, Bala, whatever you asked. Okay, Subbu, this is a passive, right? Here my service is down. Okay, here my service is down. Okay, sir, see, think. This, okay, see. You are installing a SQL, On top of that, you are going to keep the databases, right? Databases. On top of that, you will create the databases. See, on SQL cluster, you can configure log shipping. On SQL cluster, you can configure mirroring. On SQL cluster, you can configure always on availability group. On SQL cluster, you can configure replication also, right? Correct. Only you are maintaining a standalone databases. Again, on top of SQL cluster, whether you are going to configure standalone databases or some many high availability databases like log shipping databases, mirroring databases, replication databases, or always on availability group databases. There is a possibility, right? Yes, no? Yes or no? So here, what Microsoft is saying, I am going to maintain the instance level redundancy. Means if something happened to this instance, no worries, either any one of the node will take responsibility until unless these all nodes are sitting idle. Okay, now as you got a question, then what is the purpose? See, for example, this server is having 256 GB of RAM, okay, and 36 cores. It is running little massive configuration. This is, and all the servers is also having same 256 GB of RAM and 36 cores. 256 GB of RAM, 36 cores. 256 GB of RAM, 36 cores, and this all four servers are sitting idle. Oh my god, I build a massive server configuration and only one server is working. Rest of all the servers are in the sleeping mode only, wasting my all resources. We don't know when it will do failover. We don't know when this instance will corrupted. Correct? Can you imagine when this instance will corrupt? Can you imagine when it will do automatic failover? We no one knows, sir. No one predict. Okay, until unless it do failover, until unless something happen, all these servers are sitting idle only with this much of resources, 256 GB of RAM and 36 cores, powerful system, and sitting idle, nothing is doing. Now they came up with the concept called, why can't I go for active cluster? Active cluster. Okay, why can't I go for active cluster? What do you mean by active cluster means? What do you mean by active cluster? Multiple instance. Multiple instance. You can install multiple instance. Okay, I will install one more instance. Like for example, I am installing test instance. Okay, now prod currently it is running on node 1. Prod currently it is running on node 1. I am installing test instance. For this, I need to install all the passives, all the servers as a. Okay, let me go for another. Okay, this is one server, this is one server, this is one server, this is one server, this is one server. Currently, I install prod here. Prod, 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 and this is currently acting as a active and remaining or passive. Remaining or passive. Now, what I decided, until unless it do the failover or something happen, all these all these four nodes are sitting idle. Nothing is doing. Nothing is doing. Correct. So now what I decide, okay, let's install one more instance called test instance. Test instance. I'm installing test and I'm making node 2 is my active for that test instance. Node 3, node 4, and node 5. Okay, I'm installing test as a passive, test as a passive, test as a passive, test as a passive. And this is my active node. Now, two nodes are active. Two nodes are active, three nodes are passive, and three nodes are sitting idle only. Okay, I don't want sit idle. Okay, let's install one more instance. Now I'm installing dev instance. Okay, and I'm making this as a active dev, 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 dev. Okay, now 3 nodes are active, 2 nodes are passive. Okay, let's install one more pre-prod. This has acting as active, remaining are passives. I'm installing one more stage. These are acting as active, remaining or passive. So if you don't want to waste your resources, happily you can install one more instance and make sure that that instance need to be run on the any one of these passive nodes. But again, there is one biggest challenge. If all these 4 nodes down, one node will need to take the responsibility to run all the 5 instances, right? Yes or no? Agree, not agree? If all 4 nodes goes down, only one instance need to take responsibility to run all the 5 instances at a time. Correct? Yes? No?
Yes. Yes.
Say yes or no?
Yes, yes,
Yes,
Yes.
Subbu.
So
Yes.
keep that in your mind also. You need to highlight this point. If suddenly something happened to all the nodes, any one of the node, either any one of the node will need to take the responsibility. That time we may notice little performance impact. If you're happy, we can go for the multiple instance. So active passive is nothing but single instance. Active is nothing but multiple instance. Bala, I hope you got answer. You got answer?
Yeah, got it.
Okay. To overcome that only, Bala, we are going to install one more instance. Okay. For this instance, this is active, remaining all are passive. For test instance, this is active, remaining all passive. For dev instance, this is active, remaining all are passive. For pre-prod, this is active, remaining all are passive. For staging, this is active, remaining all passive. So that's the reason I mentioned here clearly. Okay, see, single instance, multiple instance. If what do you mean by single instance? Like a active passive, like a active passive, like a active passive. And multiple instance means if you are having more than one instance, you can make like a active configuration. Don't get confused at all, sir. Like active, passive, nothing. So whenever you open Windows Failover cluster, you will get to know how many resources are running, where that resources are running, on which node the resources are running. That node you need to treat as active. Remaining nodes will need to treat as a passive. Are you clear? Not clear? Up to this, we discuss only advantages, correct? Oh, we thought that WFC is very good, so we are going to group the servers and 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 we are going to maintain entire instance level redundancy. If something happened to node 1 in terms of OS, in terms of SQL, node 2 or node 3 or node 4 or node 5 will take responsibility automatically. We don't need to do anything. Up to this, okay, fine. But there is a flaw.
Subbu,
Okay? Yes.
suppose in that particular instance, something happened to one particular database.
Okay. Nothing. It's not instance level redundancy, not DB level. It's not DB level, it's instance level.
Okay.
Instance level redundancy. If something happened to SQL, only it will do the failover. Not like database level. No, it's not database level, it is an instance level. If you want a database level redundancy also, then you can configure, as I told you, right? Log shipping, mirroring on top of clusters. That's what I will show you
Okay.
practical demo on clusters only. We are having some pending concept, right? Rather than discussing traditional troubleshooting, I will talk on top of cluster only. Is it fine, right, everyone? Yep.
Yes, Subbu.
Okay, great, good. Now, yes,
Subbu,
sir.
sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, it's
but
okay. Not sorry, sir. I want questions only. I'm saying
yeah,
everyone. Rise
Yeah,
your
so
questions.
so in this particular architecture, so we have node 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and let's say we made active 2 configuration, but can we make arrangement like node 1 will be having active for prod 1, and I will just select passive node 2 and node 3, and not node 4 and node 5. And likewise, will that be possible under a single umbrella? I mean to say, as a
See, I
part of
can
single
say,
cluster.
that's what, sir. Next time I'm explaining. See, Subbu, you install all nodes passive. Will this is a
Mhm.
mandatory? No need.
Yeah,
Okay.
right,
I want only 2 passives. Enough. Okay. If something happened to this, okay, this will taken care. If something happened to both, okay, this will taken care.
right.
Okay. You can also do the, sir, you are feasible. There is no restriction. You need to do that one, this one, nothing.
Okay,
You can
okay,
make for this instance only 2 passive, for this instance only 2 passive, for this instance only 2 passives or 3 passives. Depends on complexity of your application.
right,
Okay.
right.
But you can maintain 5 node. See, you can maintain 5 node. Is it mandatory to maintain 5 node? No, sir. You can maintain 1 node, 2 node, 3 node, 4 node also. Okay.
No, no, yeah. So my question is like, let's say, we have configured 5 node, in a single cluster, but
Okay.
I wanted to, utilize the resource in a better way. So, I decided node 1 will be active for, let's say, prod instance, and, I will
Okay.
make a node 2, node 3 as a passive. So my question is like, it is not a compulsion like we have to utilize all those, participated node, as a passive node. We can select minimum 1 or maximum 4, right, as a passive node,
Yes.
right? Okay, okay. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. uh, I'm good now, so
Any questions? Now, so far we discussed all the good points only, right? Okay. Now, let's talk, sir. Okay, let's talk. Uh, Next step is, okay. Next step is, okay. Let's draw something new, sir. I don't want that. Node 1, node 2. Wait, sir. I will draw actual cluster. Okay. Cluster name, cluster IP address. Okay. Node 1, node 2, and cluster view. Okay. Now see, sir. Okay. So far we discussed about what is Windows failure cluster and what is active cluster, what is passive cluster, what is active installation, what is passive installation, what is active, what is active passive. Very simple, sir. Active passive is nothing but single instance. Active is nothing but multiple instance. Now, see, let's see, sir. Okay. Assume I am taking 2 node cluster I don't want to make confused lot. 2 node cluster. This is 2 node cluster. This is not a part of cluster, sir. Okay, this is not a part of cluster. This server I am treating as a cluster VM. Okay, this server I am treating as a cluster VM. Okay, I can monitor from this server. I can do failover. I can do failback. Okay, I can monitor failover, failback, configuration, everything I can do from this only. I don't want to cluster level things in the node 1, node 2, sir. I don't want to do anything from the node 1. In real world also, this is how we'll configure. In real world also, this is how we'll configure. This server is a minimal resources because nothing in this server. Only it is a cluster VM, sir. Like a cluster VM with the minimal resources, with the 2 core or 4 core Okay, with 8 GB of RAM, 16 GB of RAM, you don't need that much also. With the minimal resources, you will build one server where there is no SQL services. Where there is no SQL services, this server is only for configuring, failover, failback, monitoring. Because I don't want touch node 1 or node 2 every time. In case of cluster issues. In case of cluster issues, I don't want touch node 1, node 2. I can get everything from this server only. So in real world, we will create one separate VM and specifying that is a cluster VM where you are going to configure, failover, failback, all this stuff you will do from this only. You will do from this only. Now, where you are going to install SQL in the node 1, in the node 2 only. So this is 2-node cluster. Don't think that this is the 3-node cluster because this server is not part of cluster. This server is a cluster setup configuration. Cluster setup configuration. This server is not part of cluster. This is a standalone VM only. This is a standalone VM. I just kept inside, okay, but this is a standalone VM. Only this is a 2-node cluster. Node 1, node 2 is going part of cluster. Okay, where I'm configuring from this server only, I'm configuring. From this server, I'm configuring failover, failback, monitoring, everything I can do from this server. But where my SQL is installed only in the node 1, node 2. In the node 1, node 2, my SQL is installed. Now, what about storage, sir? This is very important now. Storage. Okay. What is a major drawback in SQL on cluster? SQL on cluster. What is one of the major drawback is storage. Storage. You can't keep your data in the local disk. So assume you are having C drive, D drive, E drive. Okay. You are having C drive, D drive, E drive. Okay. When you are installing SQL on cluster, can I store my data in the local disk? No. You can't store your data in the local disk. Very, 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 very important point. This is the only one of the major drawback with on top SQL on cluster. Why SQL on cluster is almost duplicating means there is one major drawbacks. Your storage is not protecting. Your storage is not protecting. Okay, your OS is protecting. Your OS is protecting in terms of operating system, in terms of CPU, memory, it is protecting. But in terms of storage, your cluster is not protecting. SQL on cluster is not protecting. Your Windows Failover cluster, on top of Windows Failover cluster, you are installing SQL on cluster, right? Your SQL on cluster is not protecting storage because you can't store your data in the local disk. You need to go for the shared disk only. You need to go for shared disk. You can't store only your executable files and DLLs. Okay, only executable files, DLLs can be stored in the local disks. Local disk. Rest everything need to be stored in the shared disk only. Network shared disk. It technically we are calling as a SAN storage. Network SAN storage. Network shared SAN storage. Shared disk. Very, very important. Shared disk. Now, when you are installing SQL, okay, first you need to attach this shared disk to the servers. Okay, like E drive, D drive, F drive, Z drive, H drive. So in the shared disk also, you are creating the disk only, sir. You are going to create the disk only. This disk you are attaching to the both servers. You are attaching this disk to the both servers. Assume there is no local disk, sir. Assume there is no local disk now. Okay, there is no local disk. Only C drive is there. Only C drive. Okay, in the both servers, you are having only C drive. Now you are going to use the shared disk. Now for this instance, whatever you are installing, how many disks you want? So data files one drive, log files one drive, okay, backups one drive, and tempdb one drive, correct? Tempdb. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 drives you need to attach to this server as well as to this server. It's like E drive, D drive, F drive, H drive. Okay, E drive, D drive, F drive, H drive. You are attaching 4 drives to the node 1, node 2, node 1, node 2. Wherever, first you need to attach it, sir. First you need to attach. Okay, first you need to attach to the both servers. Both servers need to access this shared disk. Both server need to access this shared disk. Now, when you start installing, okay, these disks are part of here. These disks are currently here also. Once you start installing SQL Server, assume once you install SQL Server on Node 1, all these drives will be mapped to the Node 1 only. All this disk will map to the Node 1 only. Because where you are installing SQL Server, it will map, sir. You no need to worry about the disk. Disks are already mapped to Node 1, Node 2. Disks are already mapped to the Node 1, Node 2, right? Whenever you are going to install SQL Server, either you can install in the Node 2, either install in the Node 1. I will show you both techniques, no problem. Okay. So when you are installing, it will get this disk and let's store the data files, log files, tempdb, and backup files in this 4 respective disks: E drive, D drive, F drive, H drive. Now, where you are installing passive, right? Will I need to disk here, sir? No, you no need disk here because you are installing only SQL services. That services will be fit in the C drive only. Now, wherever you are active, a node which is active, your disk will also map it in the active node only. In the passive node, you won't see any drives. In the passive node, you won't see any drives respect to this instance. This instance, you won't see any drives. If something happened to this, your disks will also fail over. Your disk will also fail over. Not only SQL services, your disk will also fail over. In entire this SQL cluster, what is the major drawback is this is a storage. Storage is not protecting. So if something happened to this storage, your nodes are healthy, SQLs are healthy, but even though gone, you are gone, your application is down, and your storage is not protecting. And we can't relay the storage because this is the network storage disk. When you compare with the local disk, network storage disk is having less redundancy. Local disks are more powerful, sir. So that is the reason now this feature is almost duplicating because storage is not protecting. So we are using shared storages. Are you understand? Not understand? No, yes. When you are installing SQL Server, you no need to worry about whether my disks are visible here. You can go install anywhere. Disk will map automatically because you already mapped the disk. You already mapped the disk, right? No worry. Again, so for example, Subbu, I am installing one as you told that active. Now I decide to install test instance. Okay, because this server is sitting idle, right? Will I use this disk? No. What are the disks are used by prod instance, any instance? Whatever the disks are used by any instance, same disk you can't use to another instance. This is also one of the drawback. You can't install say another instance on this disk, A drive, D drive, F drive, H drive. Again, you need to create the separate drive. Again, you need to install one more instance. So every instance, you need to maintain unique disk respect of binary files. Sir. You no need to think about binary files. Binary files will go for local disk only. No worries. But your data files, log files, backups, tempdb, everything, rest everything, irrespective binary files, everything you need to go for the network shared drives only. You can't go for the local drives. And every disk need to be independent to the respective instance. You can't keep multiple instance data in the single network shared drives. This is the one of the major drawback in terms of Windows Failover cluster. On top of that, SQL cluster. There is issue with the SQL clusters are not Windows Failover cluster. Windows Failover cluster is good, but what is the problem? SQL cluster. Why SQL cluster? There is a problem. You can't store your data in the local disk. You need to go for the network disk only. If that network disk goes down, even your cluster is healthy, SQL is healthy, your application will goes down. Of course, if this is goes down, almost our SQL will goes down, sir. So your disks are not protecting here. So what Microsoft is claiming, Microsoft is protecting your operating system in terms of CPU, in terms of memory, in terms of SQL, but is not able to protect your storage. You got it, everyone? No? Yes? See? Storage. Okay? The storage always, okay, point to the shared storage, and your storage is going to switch from here to here, here to here, here to here, here to here. If node 1 goes down, your storage will go to the node 2. If node 2 goes down, storage will go to the node 1. If something happened to the storage, okay, entire your SQL will goes down. So entire your SQL will goes down. Entire your SQL will goes down. That is one of the major drawback when you terms of SQL cluster. SQL cluster in terms of what is one of the major drawback is storage. Now, Subbu, I'm okay. For example, I am having A to Z letters. Correct? How many disks we can create, sir? How many letters are A to Z?
26.
26. Okay. Exclude C drive. Exclude C drive. Means 25. Okay. 25 drive letters I can keep it. 25 disk I can map, right? 25 disk I can create. 25 disk I can map. So if you are going for every instance only one drive, how many instance you can install, sir?
25.
25 instance, correct? But when you remember, in the standalone installation, in one server, how many instance I can install? 50, right?
50, yeah, 50.
No,
50.
it's depending, I think, Subbu. It's if normal, then we can 49. One is
49 named instance.
the
That's
default
what.
is
Total 50.
yes,
Total 50 you
49.
can install.
Total
Yeah.
50.
Yeah.
But if you using the cluster mode, then I think 20, 25. If SMB, then 16 only.
No, sir. Let's. I don't want to go that much. I will give you simple 5 answers. Okay. When you go for
Okay,
standalone, you can install 50. One will be default instance. 49 will be named instance. Named instance. One is the default instance. When you go for cluster, is it possible this many instance, Subbu? Is it possible?
Not.
No.
No. Yes. How? You can create the mount points, mount disks. You can create the mount disks. Anyone got chance to work with the mount disk? Disk inside one more disk. One disk inside one more disk. So means, hey Subbu, then see, let's understand. Assume this is your sandbox. If I'm creating A to Z letters, how many disks I can partition this shared storage, sir? Only 26, right? Correct? Yes or no? Assume this is your state storage. If I'm doing a partition like a disk level, I can go for 26 only, right? 26 partitions, right? In real world only you are doing 26 partitions. No, in real world, they will create the mount disks. Disk inside one more disk. In this disk, you can create the 26 drives. Again, one more drive, one more mount point. In this drive, you can create 26 disks. Like this, within the disk, you are going to create one mount point. Under that mount point, you are going to create again 25 disks. So that is how in the real world it is working, sir. So here also you can install 50 instance. Here also, sir, let me ask. Okay, first let's understand this one. You can also here also you can install 50 instance, but you need to go for the mount disk. When you go for mount disk only, you can. If possible, I will show you how to install SQL on the mount disk, sir. How many people are wanted to show that? How many people are expecting that installation, sir? How many people wants mount installation, mount point SQL installation?
So I need to.
Yeah, I will show you, sir. Okay, I will show you. 10 to 15% in real world, you also get a chance to work with the mount disk. Again, I'm repeating, 10 to 15%, you may also get a chance to work with the mount disk. You should not get confused at all. Okay, don't get confused. You also get a chance to work with the mount disk. Very, very, very important point. You will also get a chance to work not only traditional disk. These are all the traditional disks, sir. These are all the traditional disks. Okay. But in real world, you will also get a chance to work with the mount disk. That time, don't get confused. Okay. Within that disk, there are disks. There are disks. Okay. How that mount point to be created, how that mount disk is working, I will show you practically, sir. Okay. Yeah. That's what my request is. 10 to 15%. You may also get a chance to work with the mount disk. Almost 80 to 85% you will get the traditional disk only, sir. 90% you will get the traditional disk only. But rare case, you may also get a chance to work with the mount disk also. Okay, fine. Is it clear, everyone? No, yes. Understood, not understood.
Yes, understood.
Now, I'm asking one more question. One more question, sir. Okay. Assume this is a 3-node cluster. Assume this is a 3-node cluster. Node 1, node 2, node 3. How many instances I can install in this 3-node when you go for SQL on cluster? How many instances I can install?
Basically 6.
16. 1
Sorry?
6.
6, 6, 6.
6.
1, 6.
1
6
6.
only.
1
Oh,
6.
yes.
Assume, okay, no worries. Assume you are creating the mount points only. Think you are creating the mount points. Okay. First, let's think you are creating mount points. Okay. How many instances I can install here? Okay, let me ask in a different way. Why don't? How many default instances I can install, sir? I'm having 3-node cluster. I'm having 3-node cluster. How many default SQL on cluster instance I can install?
1 default.
50.
3.
3.
3 only.
Three default instance you can install. Right?
Yes.
How many people will vote for this one? How many default instance you can install in this 3-node cluster,
One
SQL on
node.
cluster?
1 node.
One node.
One,
I
one,
used
one
to
instance. One instance.
one instance. One instance. One default instance. 3 default instance. Okay. How many people will vote for 3? How many people will vote for 1? Send the messages, sir.
1, sir.
Okay, no worries. Send the in the chat. Can you send the message? 1 or 3. 1 or 3. Veera is saying 3. Okay. 1. Nilesh is saying 1, 3, 1, Come on, only 4, 4, 5. Okay. 1, 1. Okay. 3. Okay. Come on, others also. Okay. 3. Okay. Good. Good. 1. Okay. 1 in SQL cluster. 3 as a standalone. Okay. Okay. Majority people are saying 1. Majority people are saying also 3. 3 is the wrong answer, sir. Only one instance. Because as I told you clearly, these 3 instances are working as a unit, right? This 3 is like a 1 only, sir. This 3 is like a 1. 1. How many default you can install? Only 1, right? Only 1, right? These 3 instances are like working as a one unified cluster resource, right? How many instances you can install, sir? Only 1, right? Agree? Not agree? Everyone?
Agree, Subbu, only one.
Only 1. Sir, I am not talking about standalone installation. I won't bring any standalone installation now. I will bring standalone installation next week, sir. I will talk. I don't want confuse now, Girish. I will talk in the next week. Only one SQL cluster default installation you can install. How many node cluster it is? It's a 4-node cluster, 5-node cluster, 6-node cluster, 7-node cluster. You can install only one default instance. You can install only 49 named instance. Total, only 50 instance you can install. Either it is a 2-node cluster, 3-node cluster, 4-node cluster, 5-node cluster. You can install only 50 instance. Is it understandable? Is it understandable?
Yeah. Yes, Subbu, it's
That's it, sir.
understandable.
But if you're not going for mount point, no, sir. Okay. No, absolutely, you are right. The people who told you can get that much is right. But if you're going for mount point, yes, you can install. Sir, no one will install 50 instance. Okay. We won't install. Okay. No one tried also so far. So are you clear now about the stories? No?
Yes, sir.
Yes?
Yes.
Good, sir. Let's back to our thing, sir. You need to know some components, sir. Okay. You need to know some uh, like naming you should understand. So technically we are calling as a nodes, cluster nodes. Okay. But it's a server only, sir. Don't get confused. It's a server, but technically we are calling as a cluster nodes. We are calling as a cluster node. Node is nothing but server which is part of cluster. Server which is part of cluster. And cluster services are very important. I will talk more on this one. Okay. I will talk more on this one once we start building the cluster. Okay. Cluster services plays a major role. Okay, for backbone for your Windows Failover cluster, like managing the cluster objects and configuration, managing the local reset policies, coordinating with other node for the cluster services in cluster, handle the event notification, facilitates to communicate among other software components, performing the failover operation. All this is going to coordinate with the cluster service only. So cluster service is the major backbone for communication, failover, failback. All this is handling by these cluster services. If this cluster services goes down, entire the node will be down from the cluster. Enter node will be down from the cluster. This is one important thing you need to remember. One more is, okay, one more is public network, private network. Okay, see, every node by default you are having public IP address. Public. Every node is having public IP address for connectivity purpose. Every node is having public IP address for connectivity purpose. For connectivity purpose. So every node, each node is having public IP address. Along with public IP address, you are going to enable one more NIC card, network interface card, one more NIC card. Every node, you are adding one more NIC card That NIC card is nothing but private NIC card. Okay, private NIC card. So you are adding one more. See, take your laptop, sir. There will be one LAN connection port, right? Nowadays, for new laptops, they are not allowing. But old laptops, let's go for old laptops, old systems. You are having one LAN connection, right? Yes, one. Yes or no, everyone? Yes?
Yes,
No?
Subbu, yes.
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 Like same, you are going to enable one more NIC card. NIC card. I will show you, sir, how to enable one more network interface card. Okay, both in on-prem in the cloud. In cloud, by default, you will get the public and private NIC card, sir. But in on-prem, you need to explicitly enable the private NIC card. You need to explicitly enable the private NIC card. So you are going to enable the explicitly private NIC card to check the heartbeat. So this private NIC card is helping in the background to check the heartbeat. Like, are you healthy? As I'm healthy. Are you healthy? As I'm healthy. Are you healthy? As I'm healthy. So this is how the heartbeat is working internally, right? So this private NIC card is working for checking the heartbeat. So private NIC card is a mandatory. Okay. Public NIC card is for connectivity purpose, sir. Public NIC card is the connectivity purpose. Private NIC card is for heartbeat purpose. Private NIC card is for heartbeat purpose. Now you will ask one more question. Subbu, I don't want public IP address. Why I want public IP address for my production servers? Correct? Agree? Not agree?
Agree.
So you can also
Agree,
disable
Subbu.
the public IP address also. Everything you can do with the private networks only. For connectivity purpose, you can use the private networks. For heartbeat also, you are using the private IP address. Okay, you can use with the single network only. You don't need any public IP address also. So network people will do lot of stuff for us and behind us. Network people will do lot of us. But if someone is asking what is public IP address for connectivity purpose, what is private IP address to check the heartbeat? Like, are you healthy? Yes, I'm healthy. Are you healthy? Yes, I'm healthy. So I will talk
But Subbu,
wait, sir, wait. I will talk more
sure,
on
sure.
this heartbeat when I'm talking least time out. When I'm talking especially least time out. So when I'm talking least time out, when we are discussing always on availability group, or is it? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I will talk this much. Okay. Don't get tense. Don't get worried about the heartbeat, all this stuff. I will talk more when we are talking about always on availability group. You should understand all this stuff if you want to become strong in the heartbeat, sir. I will go deeper and deeper, better show you practically, more on practical. You will become strong, I'm promising you, sir. Okay? If you have any questions, hold that questions. I know you're having a lot of questions on heartbeat, but I will talk more on this one when we are talking on always on availability group. Okay? Is it clear? No? Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, Subbu, clear. But
Just
Subbu, here one question,
yes,
little bit
yes.
doubt.
Yeah.
Suppose we are disabling the public network, then how we connecting to the external uh, end user in particular node? We are not connecting. That case need to listener, na?
Sorry, listener.
Yeah, suppose I have disabled my public network.
Okay.
For example, any okay. Then how the end user will be connect my particular node?
It's a private IP address by enabling the VPNs. By enabling the VPNs, they can connect to the private networks. You remember there is
Okay.
a jump box servers. You know, you are
Yes,
working.
jump
What
box
do you
server.
mean?
I
What do you
understand.
mean by jump box server? If you connect
It
first, you
will
need
be
to
a
connect to the jump server. From there, you can take RTP to the servers, right?
yes, I will be take.
Like saying, if you enable
So
the VPN, then you will get a capability for the private network to connect to the server.
okay, so we as per my understanding, Subbu, suppose I will be giving to the a client end user that I can give the jump server IP address. So they can user connect to jump server, then it connect to it connect to my particular node.
Yes.
Okay.
Or they can open VPN also, sir. No need every time jump server. Once they enable the VPN, they will get the capability to connect to the private networks.
Then
Until unless they
Subbu, I
open
can ask
VPN, no.
okay, Subbu. Then what the purpose of listener here? No need to the concept of listener in
There
that
is no
case.
concept called listener, right? I have not highlighted anything concept called listener. There is no concept called listener. I am not talking anything listener.
No, I'm general thinking, Subbu, if I'm using cluster or if you're using always on, that case no need to the listener, no.
See,
Listener
listener is
basically
something
working
different.
from
No. Don't bring listener here, sir. Okay. No, don't. That's what. Don't bring listener. Listener is something different. Okay. Something overall different. Listener is. Don't bring listener here. Okay. Listener is an external resource where we are going to create. Okay. To connect, to make the connectivity of the instance, not server. These are all for server RDP. This is to take RDP to the servers, right? You need to take RDP to the server, right? Public network we are using to RDP to the server. I am talking
understand,
on
Subbu.
RDP, not connectivity.
Subbu, understand. Sorry, I
It's
maybe
it's
I'm
a
wrong.
see.
Understand.
No. You need to clarify, sir. Again, don't say anyone sorry. Okay. We have to clarify the doubts. If I don't know, I will tell Kamal. Okay. Uh, give me some time.
Sure.
I will go through and I will let you know. Okay. No one knows everything, sir. Here.
Sure.
No one knows everything. Okay. We have to learn something every day. So that's the one thing. I'm here to help you only. You are me here to help me. If you are asking questions, I can understand. Okay, I know or I don't know. Oh, I don't know this one. Okay, let's go. So last when I attending interviews, okay, 2-3 questions, very interesting questions they ask. That's the reason I promise you people I will show you little practical than which I haven't discussed so far in the last all the batches. Something practical only I need to convey this one. Okay, that's what I will add those two scenarios. Very, very interesting scenarios. Okay, many people are raising the same questions to me when I'm attending interviews. Okay, so I thought, okay, why can't I convey to our students so that when you are attending interviews, you can easily tell the answers and you can easily select it. Okay, so sharing the knowledge, sir. This is not a training. Don't think that this is a training. Sharing the knowledge. Okay, you need to share your knowledge to me. I can share my knowledge to you. That's it. Okay. Yeah. No, private networks, public networks are connecting RDP purpose, sir. I am talking only RDP. RDP. Okay, connecting to the servers in terms of. Sometimes, Subbu, you may ask a question. Sometimes application people won't allow us to public network, right? Means, yeah, I can use the private networks also. Only when you go for private networks, you can go for jump servers or VPNs. Okay, without VPN, without jump server, you can't connect to the private networks. Okay, that's a one thing. Heartbeat is nothing but are you healthy, MSA. I'm just saying are you healthy, MSA healthy, but I will talk more, sir. Here, I told you right. No worries about heartbeat, all this stuff. I will talk more. Very, very powerful concept because when you are specially working with the when you're especially working with the always on availability group, there is a concept called listener. There is a concept called lease. Lease need to be renewable every time. So in case if lease is not renewing, SQL Server will behave differently. Means SQL Server will do initiate automatic failovers. Okay, SQL is healthy, everything is healthy. Due to lease only, the failure will happen. So what is a lease? What is the renewal? What is a heartbeat? How heartbeats are checking? What are the things are happening in the back end? And you wanted to know about what is look alive, what is alive. There are much more we want to talk. I will talk all this stuff, sir. Okay, with the practical more on practical demos we'll talk so that you can understand. So far, I think good, sir. I don't want to overload you that day one itself. Okay. Quorum, I will talk more in the upcoming classes. Local level, MSDTC. I will talk when we are talking once we configure, sir. Once we build the cluster, I will talk rest of the concepts. And I will share this document also. Okay. You no need to prepare. That's it, sir. Any questions? No? Yes? But tomorrow I will take more time because I need to spin the VMs, right? Tomorrow I need to spin the VMs. Tomorrow I need to spin the networks, right? Tomorrow I will take little, that 20 minutes also I will take it. But today is more theoretical, right? I don't want overload. Okay? Any questions? Over to you. No questions? Good.
So, the default failover will be at 10 millisecond into SQL mirroring. Same thing here will be a default in always on also.
We'll talk, sir. That's what. We'll talk about session level time modes, AZ level time modes, okay, failover time modes, session level time modes. That is also we'll cover. No worries. Okay. Let's build the server, sir.
Sorry, I have maybe a not fair request, but I can one request with you. If you possible, can be little bit early morning 7:30 as IST time. So this will be little bit to help me because
That's what we are doing, right? 7:30
11:30.
only. 7:30 only. I'm giving 10 minutes, sir. Okay. 7:40 we are starting the bridge without any delay. Okay. If everyone is happy at 7:30, I can open the bridge at 7:15 and I can start at 7:30 only. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just request because it will be little bit too much late to me. So sometime it will be a
I know. Okay, maximum 7:30 only, sir. 7:30, 35, 40 only. I'm starting the bridge, and we are not wasting our time at all. Okay, because
I understand. It will be
all these concepts are very important. More on practicals are not theoretical. Okay, from tomorrow we'll go for more on practical only. Everything will go for practical.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. If no questions,
The Azure free trial account creation session will be open or it will be recording session?
sorry.
That Azure free trial account creation.
Oh, tomorrow, sir. Tomorrow. Let me stop the recording first. Okay.